Hello, Home Slices. It's Kiara with Home Slice Adulting coming to you guys with my review for Braxton Family Values Season 6, Episode 10, which is titled Sister Shutdown. Now, I'm sorry this review is so late, but I'm still trying to figure out this work YouTube balance. So just forgive me for the time being. I'm still trying to figure things out. But with all of that being said, please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And most importantly, don't forget to hit that little notification bell below so that you can be notified when I post new content. Now, this is going to be an important review. This is going to be an important episode for Braxton Family Values because we see at the end of the episode, the sisters decide not to show up for taping. But before we get into that and my thoughts on what's going on with the Braxton family sisters, let's talk about what actually happened when they were on film in this particular episode. So we see Tony talking to Mama Evelyn. Apparently, there are still no wedding plans in place. There is not a date. There's not a color scheme. The only thing Tony has in mind is a Great Gatsby theme. She's saying that the sisters are not helping big enough, and I have a problem with that. We like Toni Braxton as a singer and performer. She's even a pretty good actress. I'll give her that. But Toni has this very princessy attitude about people doing things for her. Tawanda was her assistant. She expects her sisters to plan her wedding because she's too busy. And I don't really like that. I feel like she's just used to people catering to her. And I think that's part of the appeal of why Birdman is going to be her new husband, is because he has the ability to cater to her financially. But I don't like that attitude. She's saying that the sisters aren't helping big enough. They aren't doing enough of planning for her wedding that she hasn't set a date for and that she hasn't set time aside in her schedule for. It's not on your sisters to plan your wedding when you can't even tell them what day you're available, okay? Moving on. Toni says that even though this is not her first wedding, something about this wedding seems honest and pure. What about Birdman seems honest or pure? Do you not remember all that issue with him not giving Lil Wayne his money? That ain't honest. Have you looked at him? He ain't pure. There's something going on with Toni Braxton, y'all. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on with her. But the fact that she could call her second wedding to Birdman honest and pure as opposed to dishonest and impure for her first marriage, I don't know. Something going on, y'all. I hope I'm expressing my thoughts well enough for you all to see why that's confusing for me. But moving on, we see Tawanda, Trina, and Tracy wedding dress shopping without Toni. This is the stuff I'm talking about. First off, wedding dress shopping is supposed to be one of the fun elements of planning your wedding. The rest of the wedding is stressful, making sure that there's flowers, making sure that, everybody is doing what they're supposed to do, that the ring bearer doesn't pee when he's walking down the aisle, that the flower girl doesn't dig in her nose while she's supposed to be putting flowers down the aisle. Everything else about a wedding is stressful, but wedding dress planning is the one fun part where you and your friends or your family get together and they just, I'll go over you and tell you how beautiful you are and how beautiful you're going to look on your wedding day. And Toni doesn't even show up. Like, how much of a princess can you be that you want your sisters to pick out your wedding dress and you're not even there to try it on and see how it looks on you? Well, I don't understand. Moving on. Birdman wants Toni to wear red, and Toni's not dealing with that, so they're trying to figure out a compromise. And y'all, I'm just now figuring out, or just now finding out, I'll say, that compromises are not ideal because it means that nobody wins. I guess. Moving on, the lady who works there or owns the shop is showing them different compromises that they can make between a red dress and something more traditional that what Toni wants. Tawanda decides to try on the red wedding dress. I don't really care for the color red, let alone non-white wedding dresses. To me, it was a cute dress, but not for a wedding. But moving on, Tawanda tries it on, and they're trying to figure out what's going on with Tawanda that she would want to try on a wedding dress, but she's never actually had a wedding. She got married to Andre at the Justice of the Peace, and I think Tawanda's new relationship has gotten her to the point where she may even be thinking about getting married again, even though her parents kind of soured her on marriage in the first place. Tawanda, tries on the dress and it looks okay. But again, I don't think it's for a wedding. And Tawanda is thinking about what her wedding would be like if she actually had one. And she's also says that her husband, Andre, is acting a fool, but what's new? Now, next we see Tony doing some type of promo event for her movie Faith Under Fire. She's wearing a very ugly dress. I will say that. Tony Braxton usually is not does not dress bad, but that dress was ugly. I've never had to say that about Tony. Please don't make me say it again, Tony Braxton. But moving on, she talks about her role as the woman whose name I cannot think of. Basically, an educator who stopped a guy from shooting up a school or blowing up a school or something like that by talking him down. But the best part of that whole little scene with Tony was when she was able to openly and honestly talk about how she identified with her character, about going through a divorce and going through multiple bankruptcies, and how her character had been through similar situations, and how she can now freely and openly say that she's actually passed all of those things in her life. And that to me, that was actually interesting to me. And I was happy to hear her say that she is past some of the more difficult things that she's gone through in her life, things that were very public for her. So I enjoyed that. But moving on, we see Mama Evelyn and Tracy doing some candle shopping. Mama Evelyn is not enjoying her time in the candle shop. And I just hate that. Like, somebody agrees to go somewhere with you and they get there and they don't enjoy it and they killing your vibe. Like, I don't like that. But moving on, Mama Evelyn is not being upfront about, her man friend. She claims that she likes to have biblical discussions with him, but she doesn't seem to like him otherwise. Don't know what that means, but Tracy talks about her son and Olivia moving out and things that she has going on, how she hasn't been able to see her grandchild as much because she's, doing everything for her album and with the sisters for the show. And she talks about being over the whole tour situation with Tony and Tamar. Next, we see Dr. Takaya. It used to be Sergeant, and now it's Doctor. Okay, we'll talk about that. And Tracy and Trina go to work out with him. Now, I was immediately suspicious of him calling himself doctor, but I became more suspicious when he said that his doctorate was in obesity. Who out here is giving out doctorates for obesity? University of Phoenix, I don't know. Then he said he chose to study obesity because 137 Black women die every day from obesity related illnesses. I don't remember him liking Black women like that. I think I recall him saying that's why people don't like Black women, because they don't like to get their hair wet. Do y'all remember that episode when he wanted to measure Tracy's body fat, but she had to go underwater for it, and he had a white person come in and demonstrate what it was supposed to be like for her, and she was like, I ain't doing that because I ain't messing up my hair, and he was like, that's why I'm married to a white woman. Y'all remember that? Why you care about Black women dying from obesity? Okay, moving on. They're working out pretty hard. I can't deny that he seems to be a really good trainer. He tries to get Tracy to do the monkey bars. I have never been able to do monkey bars, even since like elementary school back in those days. I would always get calluses on my hands as well. So I never was good at monkey bars. So I feel Tracy on that. But Tawanda's mystery man comes up in a conversation between Tracy and Trina. And they ask, why is she hiding him? Is he in jail? Is, basically all the reasons why they think that Tawanda would hide him from them. Then he has Dr. Takaya. I don't want to call him Dr. Takaya. He brings out a Congo monkey shake and he makes this little nasty face. Ugh. Yeah, he looked terrible doing that. Okay. But moving on, we see Tawanda and Trina. They have been charged with finding the drinks for Tony's wedding. Yet again, see, that's the thing. Tony wants them to do all of the legwork for the wedding without her input. And the fact that she just wants to show up at her wedding, and the fact that Tony is also picky, I feel as if Tony is going to get to her wedding and her sisters are going to pick something that she doesn't like. And then she's going to give her sisters a mouthful about that. There's no way that picky and fickle Tony Braxton would have me do something and then yell at me for doing it when she don't have the time to do it. Okay. I just don't like that. But they have edible molecular cocktails that they bite into that actually, burst into your mouth after you bite into it. I thought that was real cool. They had a little trouble trying to figure out a name for it, but nipples and balls is not elegant. So the guy who's there, his name is Josh. He asked to take a picture of them, and it came off really weird because he left like right away. But moving on, they talk about weddings, the guest list, the timetable, and Tony being indecisive. And then Josh brings back a drink with their picture on top. I thought that was amazing. Okay. I thought that was absolutely wonderful. I thought that was great. I had never seen anything like that. So that kind of mind blown. Okay. Moving on, we see that the sisters are about to have a dinner, excluding Tamar because she don't know how to pick up the phone. Now Tracy is getting ready for the sister dinner. She doesn't want to make waves in the sisterhood. She does not want to. I think part of Tracy's hesitation to discuss with Tony and Tamar her disappointment and not being able to go on tour with them is that Tracy has always been very vocal about them leaving her behind. And I don't think that Tracy wants to appear to be the same bitter person that she was when this show first started, feeling as if her sisters left her behind. She doesn't want to be seen that way. She does not want to feel that way. She wants to be seen as the sister who has grown up and is doing her own thing, whether or not her sisters include her or not. And I totally understand that. But moving on, her manager calls with an update and he makes us wait until after the commercial break to hear it. We think it's going to be bad news, but it's good news. He has booked a promo tour for Tracy and it's hers. It is her tour on her own. And she is not in the shadows of Tony or Tamar. And so I like to think of it as God is looking out for Tracy, even if her sisters aren't. Okay, moving on. Oh, we got to do the honorary song because all of the sisters, except for Tamar, were at the restaurant waiting until Tony arrived. So we have to do the Tony is always late. Okay, but moving on. They are trying to restore their sisterhood, but Tamar is still in her feelings. She's still not on board. And not Tony, Tamar is my least favorite sister. Again, I will say that again. But she just has so much crap going on with her. She's not emotionally stable right now, per se, with issues with going through a divorce and being a mom and cutting all your hair off and not talking to your sisters and allegations of your husband beating on you. I just can't deal with that. Okay. And apparently neither can Tamar. So she's not answering her sister's phone calls. Moving on, Tawanda immediately throws Tracy under the bus. I told y'all Tawanda does this a lot, and it's an element of her personality that I just do not care for. Tawanda is trying to push Tracy to discuss something that Tracy does not feel is necessarily an issue. So instead of focusing on what she didn't get, on the opportunity that she did not get going on tour with Tony and Tamar, she tells them the good news about the promo tour that she does have. And while I think it's very positive for Tracy to focus on the positive thing, I personally would not have given Tony Braxton the satisfaction of knowing that because we can't go on tour together, I got another tour on my own. I would have made Tony feel bad about it because Tony, as far as we know, still has not spoken to Tracy directly to tell Tracy, this is what happened, and I'm sorry that you were not able to go on tour. To me, Tracy was a little bit too nice to Tony about this, but Tracy's trying to move past it, and I understand not dealing in pettiness and anything negative regarding the situation. But moving on, Tony is playing the Scrooge. Kind of doesn't make sense, but okay, whatever. And because she is playing the Scrooge, she's going to do the movie instead of the tour and is going to postpone the tour. Which, to me, if I were Tracy, I would feel like, that's poetic justice. Okay, now I have my own tour and Tony's not touring. But moving on, Tony is making it her family's responsibility to plan her wedding while she's filming a movie in Canada. Ugh, she's just so used to being catered to, and I don't like that. But Trina talks about the sister restaurant venture licensing deal that she wants to do with everybody. And aside from Braxton Family Values, the TV show, she wants them to have something tangible and business wise where they can make money together without having to sell their souls for reality TV, I guess. But moving on, Tony apparently Tony and Tamar turned her down earlier in the season without even really giving her an opportunity to explain what she was talking about. And again, Tony shuts her down, and Trina is just over it. And she's like, you need to be quiet, okay? Be quiet for like 25 seconds and allow me to finish my thought. And when Trina was able to get everything out, Tony quieted down, and she expressed that she was actually thinking about it and thinking that it might be something good for their sisterhood. And so they try to discuss about including Tamar in it and being able to tell each other that, what you did hurt me, and being able to apologize and all that kind of stuff. And then Tawanda is like, okay, well, y'all can talk about wedding stuff, but I have to leave and then I'm gonna come right back. And they're like, where are you going? Okay. And Tracy is like, is your man a dildo? Because Tracy is crazy. They got a kick out of that. But moving on, the crew that actually films Braxton Family Values are in Atlanta to film at a nail salon. I'm assuming they were all going to get pampered together, or at least a handful of them were coming to get pampered together. The crews show up and the Braxton sisters do not. A producer tells us that the talent hasn't shown up and basically they have to shut down production. Now, let's get into my thoughts on what this means for Braxton Family Values. First off, I enjoy watching the Braxton sisters. I have 4 sisters and 2 brothers, and I am the oldest. So in a way, I identify with Tony, having 4 sisters, being the oldest and all that kind of stuff. So to me, it's like, they're, I don't know, like watching family almost. But I do agree that over these past few years, the show has been a little more sensationalized than entertaining. Like they know how to pick the best parts and put them in the commercials, and then we wait weeks for those best parts to come true. So for me, I do believe that Braxton Family Values is definitely coming to an end, and that this is probably going to be the last season of Braxton Family Values, which is absolutely okay with me because all things come to an end, right? But I after kind of reading what's going on in the blogs and understanding the fact that the sisters, except for Tracy, have decided to basically boycott Braxton Family Values in the name of negotiating for a higher salary, and leaving Tracy to fend for herself. It's kind of weird because I talked about last time how there were like these C and D list celebrities that I saw on the show, Flavor Flav, New York. Apparently, Phaedra is going to be a part of it as well. And it's like, what the heck is going on? But once again, the sisters have left Tracy out of things. They have left her behind to pick up the pieces for herself. And the remainder of the show, from my understanding, is going to be Tracy's adventures with these other C-list celebrities instead of it being about the Braxton family sisters. And if this is Tracy's opportunity to get her own show and do her own thing, then I'm glad for Tracy. It's been, a long time coming. And if she can get a victory off of the failure of her sisters, then it's about time, okay? But aside from that, I don't think it's okay for them to leave the show in the lurch. They clearly signed a contract. So contractually, they should be obligated, to do what they're supposed to do and show up for filming. I have never ever heard them say anything about the money not being enough. And the fact that the show is still not interesting, hasn't gotten back to the level of interest that it has been for a few years. You can negotiate for more money when the show is not as hot as it used to be. You're not in a good position to do that. I just I just don't like that they're doing this, and I feel like it's a bad look for the Braxton sisters, especially since they're leaving Tracy out in the lurch to pick up the show on her own. So, I want to thank you guys for watching. Tell me your thoughts on what you think about the Braxton sisters not coming to show up. They've been acting a fool with each other on camera for 6 years now, and the fact that they just decided to stop acting a fool together and ask for more money and then leaving Tracy out of it. Like, how's it an effective boycott if everybody's not on board? If they still have Tracy and Tracy is willing to call on her C and B list celebrity friends to keep the show going without y'all, then it's not an effective boycott, right? Okay. But moving on. Thank you guys for watching. You all let me know what you thought about this particular episode of Braxton Family Values, and peace out, home slices.